The secret to living in a world that is not real lies in the confrontation with illusion itself. We exist, most of us, not within the truth of life, but within a theater of appearances. Every man, woman, and child plays a part in this performance, rehearsed not by conscious choice, but by the unrelenting script of the unconscious. The so-called real world is not a creation of our reason. It is a projection of our inner conflicts, our fears, our desires, and the compromises we make to survive within the limitations of civilization. Thus, to live in a world that is not real is not a curse. Rather, it is the fundamental condition of the human psyche. The question, then, is not how to escape illusion, but how to live with it without losing one's sanity. Reality, as the mind conceives it, is never truly objective. It is filtered through the delicate machinery of perception, shaped by repression and defense, molded by fantasy, and distorted by the ego's desperate attempt to maintain order in a world that would otherwise appear chaotic. The mind cannot bear unfiltered reality. It is too raw, too vast, too indifferent to human longing. Therefore, it constructs symbols, myths, relationships, and systems of meaning to tame the incomprehensible. What we call the world is, in truth, a psychic construction, a grand hallucination, maintained collectively through shared belief. Every institution, from religion to politics, every moral code, every conception of success or failure, exists because human beings could not bear to face the naked void. In this sense, the world is not real, but a shared dream woven out of necessity. To live sanely within this dream demands a certain mastery of illusion. It requires one to recognize the unreality without surrendering entirely to cynicism or despair. Those who see too deeply into the falsity of the world risk madness, for they pierce through the comforting veil that protects them from the abyss. Yet those who cling too tightly to illusion become slaves to it, living mechanical lives defined by the expectations of others, devoid of authentic feeling. Between these two extremes lies the secret art of living, to dance between the real and the unreal, to be both participant and observer, to act one's role in the play while remembering that it is, after all, a play. When I have spoken of the unconscious, I have described it as the realm where the forbidden, the forgotten, and the repressed continue to live. It is this unseen part of the mind that determines how we perceive the world. The so-called objective reality is only a reflection of our inner dramas. The world appears hostile to the man who carries hostility within himself. It appears indifferent to the one whose soul has grown numb. Love, hatred, jealousy, ambition, these forces are projected outward, shaping the contours of the external world. Thus, to live in a world that is not real is to live among our own phantoms. Every encounter with another person is, to some extent, an encounter with a mirror. We are constantly recognizing in others the traits we love or despise in ourselves. The entire social world is a stage upon which our internal conflicts are played out in disguise. What, then, is the secret? It begins with awareness, the recognition that one's perceptions are not facts, but interpretations. The neurotic, unable to make this distinction, takes his fantasies for reality. He believes that his feelings and projections are literal truths. The healthy mind, on the other hand, learns to hold a dual vision. It participates in the illusion while understanding its origins. This double consciousness, this ability to see the world as both real and unreal, grants a profound freedom. It allows one to act without being consumed by delusion. It transforms existence from a prison of false appearances into a laboratory of self-knowledge. Consider the child at play. He knows, on some level, that his toy soldiers are not real men, that the battles he imagines are mere fantasy. Yet in the moment of play, he believes with total sincerity. The play is serious to him. It evokes real emotion. When the game ends, he returns to the ordinary world, enriched by the symbolic experience. In this, the child is wiser than most adults. He knows how to live in an unreal world without losing himself. The adult, by contrast, often forgets that his games, money, status, romance, religion are still forms of play. He takes them as ultimate realities and suffers when they fail to satisfy the deeper hunger of the soul. The secret, therefore, is to recover the child's paradoxical wisdom, to play the game of life wholeheartedly, but never to mistake the game for the whole of reality. Civilization itself is a kind of dream maintained by repression. It demands that we suppress instinct in favor of order, that we renounce immediate gratification for the sake of security and progress. This renunciation is necessary, yet it breeds discontent. The instincts, though silenced, never disappear. They manifest in disguised forms in art, religion, neurosis, and culture. All of these are sublimations of the primal forces within us. Thus, the unreality of the world is not accidental. It is the price we pay for civilization. To live in society is to participate in a shared illusion, a collective compromise between desire and morality, between instinct and law. The wise man does not rebel blindly against this illusion, for he knows it is necessary. Instead, he learns to navigate it consciously, neither enslaved by it nor entirely detached from it. Dreams, as I have long observed, are the royal road to the unconscious. In dreams, the distinction between real and unreal dissolves. The logic of the day is replaced by the language of symbols. Yet what is striking is that even in waking life, we continue to dream. We dream collectively, constructing worlds of meaning that satisfy our psychic needs. Money, for instance, has no intrinsic reality. It is a shared fantasy, a symbol invested with power by collective belief. Love, too, is often a projection, a desire to merge with an idealized image of oneself reflected in another. Nations, gods, moral laws, all are products of imagination solidified into convention. To live wisely in this world is to recognize the dreamlike nature of these constructs, to use them as tools rather than become their victims. There is, of course, a danger in this realization. The discovery that the world is not real can provoke a profound existential anxiety. If everything is illusion, what remains? What meaning can be found in actions, relationships, or aspirations? Here lies the temptation of nihilism, the belief that nothing matters. Yet, this is a misunderstanding. The unreality of the world does not mean that it is meaningless. It means that meaning itself is created, not discovered. The human mind is the great meaning maker, and illusion is its medium. One might say that we are artists painting upon the canvas of unreality. Our task is not to destroy the illusion, but to make it conscious, to shape it with awareness rather than be shaped by it unconsciously. When one understands this, suffering takes on a new dimension. Much of human pain arises from the conflict between inner desire and outer appearance. We suffer because we mistake our projections for truth. We suffer when the world refuses to conform to our fantasies. The neurotic clings to illusion and rages when it breaks. The healthy individual grieves, learns, and then reimagines. To live in a world that is not real is to accept that disappointment is inevitable, for no external object can perfectly match the richness of our inner longing. Yet through this acceptance comes a strange peace, the peace of understanding that our suffering itself is part of the dream, that it too can be observed, studied, and perhaps even transformed. Art, philosophy, and psychoanalysis all arise from this insight. They are attempts to translate the language of illusion into consciousness. The artist takes the unreality of the world and reshapes it into beauty. The philosopher contemplates the illusions of thought itself. The psychoanalyst listens to the illusions of the individual and helps him see their origins. All three are forms of awakening, yet none destroy the dream. They refine it. They bring light to the shadow without annihilating the shadow's existence. In this way, we come to understand that the goal of human life is not to wake up entirely from the dream, but to dream lucidly, to know we are dreaming, and to direct the dream with understanding and compassion. The ego, that fragile mediator between the id and the superego, is the central actor in this unreal world. It strives constantly to maintain a sense of stability, to convince itself and others that it knows what is real. But beneath its surface, confidence lies a constant anxiety, for it suspects that its world may not be as solid as it appears. This anxiety is the root of much of our behavior. We build elaborate systems of belief to defend against it. We seek validation from others to confirm our existence, and we cling to routines to maintain a sense of continuity. Yet every so often, through loss, trauma, or sudden insight, the illusion cracks. We glimpse the void beneath. In that moment, we face the truth that our entire world is constructed, precarious, dependent on fragile psychic threads. Most people retreat quickly into denial. A few, however, face the void directly, and from that confrontation emerges a new kind of strength, the strength of one who no longer fears the unreality of the world. To live with this awareness is not to become indifferent or detached. On the contrary, it deepens one's engagement with life. When one recognizes that everything is, in a sense, symbolic, one begins to appreciate the subtle beauty of existence, the gestures of others, the rituals of daily life, the fleeting emotions all become expressions of the unconscious striving of humanity. The world, though not real in the literal sense, becomes profoundly meaningful as a reflection of the human soul. We cease to demand that it be perfect or permanent, and instead we learn to marvel at its fleeting, dreamlike quality. The secret to living in an unreal world, therefore, is not to seek an escape from illusion, but to move within it gracefully, to treat it as a work of art in which we ourselves are both creator and character. But there is another layer to this secret, one that touches upon the deepest mystery of existence. What if the distinction between real and unreal is itself a construct of the mind? The dream feels real while we are in it. The waking world feels real until we question it. Consciousness, it seems, has the power to render illusion into reality simply by believing in it. In this sense, the world's unreality is not a defect. It is the very stage upon which consciousness experiences itself. Without illusion, there would be no experience, no story, no evolution of the psyche. The unreal world is not a deception imposed upon us. It is the necessary medium through which we come to know ourselves. The therapeutic process often mirrors this journey. The patient begins by believing in the absolute reality of his symptoms, his conflicts, his suffering. Through analysis, he comes to see that much of it originates in unconscious fantasy. At first, this discovery is painful, for it seems to undermine the solidity of his world. But gradually, he learns to reinterpret his experiences symbolically. His dreams, his anxieties, his relationships all become messages from the deeper self. In this transformation, the unreal becomes a teacher. The illusions that once tormented him become sources of insight. This is the path of psychic integration, to accept that the world one perceives is a mirror of one's own mind, and to use that mirror for self-knowledge rather than self-deception. We must remember that even the pursuit of truth can become an illusion if driven by the wrong motive. The desire to know what is real often hides a wish to control or escape uncertainty. But reality, in its pure form, cannot be possessed or defined. It can only be experienced in flashes, moments of clarity where the ego's defenses momentarily dissolve. These moments come through love, through loss, through art, through introspection. They remind us that beyond the illusions of identity and society lies a deeper reality that cannot be spoken, only felt. To live in an unreal world, then, is to navigate between these moments of awakening and the comforting dreams that surround them. We must learn to awaken without destroying the dream, to see through illusion without becoming alienated from it. Perhaps this is why humanity has always turned to myths and stories. Myths are not lies, they are symbolic, truths that express psychological realities. They are the language of the unconscious translated into narrative form. The gods, the heroes, the battles between good and evil, all are dramatizations of the inner world. In this way, even our greatest fictions reveal deeper truths. To live meaningfully in an unreal world, one must become mythically conscious to see one's own life as part of a larger symbolic pattern. The events that befall us are not random. They are expressions of our inner state. Our failures, our loves, our losses are all scenes in the great play of the psyche. When we recognize this, we no longer ask whether the world is real. We ask what it is revealing about our own soul. The modern world, obsessed with materialism and technology, has forgotten this symbolic dimension. We have replaced the language of myth with the language of data, the poetry of the psyche, with the prose of facts. Yet even in this technological landscape, illusion persists. The digital world, for example, is a perfect metaphor for the human mind, a vast network of images, identities, and projections, all existing without physical substance. We live increasingly in virtual realities, but the truth is that we always have. Civilization itself is virtual, a psychic construct sustained by belief. The difference now is that we are beginning to see it more clearly, to glimpse the machinery behind the illusion. This awareness can be frightening, but it also offers the possibility of evolution. Perhaps humanity is being forced to confront its own dream and to awaken, at last, within it. The secret, then, is not found in escaping unreality, but in becoming conscious within it. It is the art of lucid existence to participate fully in the dream while knowing it for what it is. The one who masters this art becomes free from the tyranny of appearances. He loves without attachment, works without vanity, suffers without despair. He sees the masks of the world not as lies but as symbols. He plays his role with sincerity, knowing that behind every role lies the same eternal actor, the human psyche, seeking to understand itself. And so, the world's unreality becomes its deepest truth, the mirror through which consciousness discovers its own reflection.